Yeah, and you see this like Cloudflare is already doing some experience with this, and Google as well,
Google.
and Signal.
Google is doing some
so there's like,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
people are doing it and in different areas, and it's just like recently I even saw an announcement for like a camera that were doing this.
Yes, the rock camera, right? Yeah, that's super cool. Like, what is the rock camera? Maybe just like briefly.
So the rock camera, like initially was just an idea in terms of like a big problem is in terms of fake data and so on, and people.
AI slop.
Yeah, AI slop, like people taking a picture and then kind of modifying it or just generating and fake news, like figuring out like what is real. And it's like a balance, right? Because you don't want to censor stuff, but at the same time you want to be able to trust things. So if you see a picture, how do you know if it's real? And one idea that's been around for a while and that has recently become more and more of a reality is like that you can create a signature for a photo and attach it to a photo. And then you can basically create a proof saying like, okay, this picture was actually taken by a real camera. And you can even go further.
That's crazy, yeah, it's so cool. Balaji talked about this like before, I feel like.
Yes, it's been floating around for a while and now it's becoming it's reality basically. And another example of this is, so Reuters, they have these standards for what are like allowed transformations. So for example, when you have an image, let's say from a conflict zone or whatnot, you can crop it and you can like grayscale it and like a few other things that you can do that's like not seen as like changing the picture, the semantics of the picture, but still like representing reality.
Right.
And that's like a custom, it's like a policy that people have, that like good journalists have, but it's hard to know if that's the case or not. But with this technology, you can sort of prove that a photo was taken from a real camera and it has only undergone certain transformations, right? So you can see, if you see a picture on Twitter, you can imagine in the future, or Podcaster, you can imagine in the future that you can like see, oh, actually, there's like a kind of proof going back to this picture was taken last week, and it's not something from 3 years ago where someone added like this hellscape that's just like fake news, right?
And generated like a bunch of like this background here, and then this like gun here was generated, and
exactly.
So that's wild, man.
There's
like
stuff like that.
And like, could that theoretically be put into an iPhone camera or like any type of camera?
Yeah, definitely. And like obviously there's some trust assumptions, right? Because you can always, you can modify the camera and hardware and stuff and there's hacks. But I think the goal is not to make it like zero trust, but you kind of like trust minimization, which is also what you mentioned Nick Szabo before.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, right? Because if you have, I don't know, some crazy solar flares or quantum computing and so on, like you can always construct these scenarios where nothing works, you can't trust anything. But what we're trying to do is like minimize the trust requirements and sort of reduce the surface area where things can go wrong. And then it just becomes easier to reason about things. So if you see something, you know, like, okay, I'm reasonably certain that this is the case, and so on. So it's more about making easier to reason about things.
Gotcha.